The night had grown impossibly deep, a darkness so thick it seemed to swallow everything in its path. A dense fog clung to the forest, curling around the gnarled trunks like ghostly serpents, so heavy that even a hand held inches from the face disappeared entirely. Ethan stood frozen at the entrance of the abandoned forest, the twisted shapes of the old trees stretching upward like the crooked necks of petrified humans. Each branch seemed to reach toward him with a sinister intent. The air carried a putrid stench, the kind of rotten, decaying smell that made his stomach churn, a scent that reminded him of long-forgotten corpses, left to rot beneath the soil. Then, in a sound that was more felt than heard, the two massive stones at the forest's entrance whispered in unison, their voices like the groan of ancient timber. "Go back. Whatever lives inside does not let anyone leave alive." A shiver ran down Ethan's spine, yet something compelled him to move forward. His boots crunched softly against the frosted ground as he stepped into the fog, his breath forming small clouds in the cold air. From the shadows, glowing eyes began to pierce the darkness, flickering like molten rubies. The first emerged a black wolf, enormous and silent, its blood-red eyes fixated on him with unnatural intelligence. Then a tall stag appeared, its massive horns curling like twisted branches, scraping the soil as if warning him of imminent doom. Finally, a wounded bear lumbered into view, its heavy body moving with a strange, jerky rhythm, eyes also glowing red with the unmistakable mark of possession. These were not ordinary animals. They moved with an almost human cunning, each motion deliberate and threatening. The wolf growled low in its throat, a sound that seemed to vibrate through the fog itself. The bear struck a tree with its massive claw, sending splinters flying. The stag gripped its sharp horns along the earth, tearing through roots and leaves, each sound echoing like a warning. Then, as if some invisible switch had been flipped, everything fell silent. A faint rustling whispered through the trees, barely audible, yet it made Ethan's blood run cold. "He is coming." The wind died abruptly, leaving a suffocating stillness in its place. Then the dark smoke began to gather between the twisted trunks, swirling and coiling like a living shadow. Slowly, it took shape, a djinn made entirely of black smoke, its form constantly shifting, but its eyes burned bright like molten metal, piercing Ethan's soul with their malevolent glow. In a voice deep and cracked, like the grinding of stone, it spoke, "Human, who invited you here?" The three animals bowed before it as if it were their unquestioned master. The djinn raised a smoky, shifting hand and commanded, "Break him." The wolf lunged, and instinctively, Ethan grabbed a thick broken branch, swinging it with all his strength to block the attack. The stag charged next, its hooves drumming against the earth like war drums. Ethan leapt aside, and the stag's massive horns embedded themselves deep into a tree, splintering it violently. The bear struck from behind, and Ethan grabbed a heavy stone, hurling it with all his might into the beast's glowing eye. The battle was far from over. The wolf pounced again, snarling and snapping. The bear roared with fury, shaking the earth beneath its feet. The stag wrenched its horns free and charged once more, the ground trembling under its weight. Suddenly, the air around him turned scorching hot, the heat distorting the fog like molten waves. A massive djinn emerged behind the first, towering above the trees, its body draped with the remains of animals' bones clinking and scraping as it moved. It slammed a clawed hand into the forest floor, and the ground cracked open in a thunderous explosion. From the fissures, more djinn crawled out, their mouths torn, voices rising in a nightmarish chorus that sounded like 1,000 screaming souls. Together, they whispered, their unison chilling Ethan to the core. "Blood, the blood of a human." Panicked, Ethan turned, only to find the forest path had vanished. The twisted trees blocked every direction. The djinn advanced relentlessly, and the possessed animals circled him like predators hunting prey. Owls with unnaturally sharp eyes watched silently from the branches, and strange shapes, twisted and shadowy, hung from the trees, swaying as though the forest itself had awakened. The giant djinn stepped forward, razor-long claws gleaming in the dim light. Ethan dove behind a thick tree, hard hammering in his chest. The djinn's claws swung with lethal precision, slicing through the trunk in a clean line, wood splintering and smoke rising from the friction. Just as despair threatened to overwhelm him, a blinding blast of white light struck the ground. The forest seemed to freeze under the intensity. From the radiance emerged a glowing figure, a saint-like spirit, ethereal and imposing, with eyes filled with wisdom and power. Its voice rolled across the forest like thunder. "This human is not your prey. This is your test." A violent shockwave tore through the trees, uprooting branches and scattering fog. The ground quaked beneath Ethan's feet. The wolf, stag, and bear screamed and fled in terror. The black smoke Djinn recoiled, twisting and dissipating into the shadows until they vanished entirely. Slowly, the morning light filtered into the forest, golden and gentle, dispelling the remnants of darkness. The forest fell silent. The animals were gone. The Djinn were gone. Only a single wooden stick, still smoldering, lay on the forest floor. Carved deeply into it were words that glowed faintly. This forest remembers you. You will return. The forest's debt is not paid yet. Ethan stood alone, breathing heavily. The memory of the night etched into his soul, knowing that this forest, alive and ancient, would one day call for him again.